Employee, person under control and direction of a broker. An, quote, employee, end quote, is a specific tax status which requires an employer to withhold taxes and send them directly to the IRS. The status of, quote, employee, end quote, also allows the employer to set working hours and to direct specific work duties. In general, the IRS is much happier with the, quote, employee, end quote, status, as it is more likely that taxes will be paid and therefore revenue for the country generated, the function of the Internal Revenue Service. An, quote, employee, end quote, is a person under control and direction of a broker. Codify or codify, to arrange rules in a or into a systematic set. To codify is to arrange rules into a systematic set or to add rules to an already existing set to make the set more complete. If a rule is codified, it now becomes part of the set that we follow as general practice. Equity funds. Investment funds which invest in equity-backed securities. Equity is the difference between the appraised value of a real property and the loan amount remaining. Equity funds are investment funds which purchase equity securities as their investment vehicle. Equity-backed assets are very stable unless the appraisal value of the asset becomes inaccurate. If, for example, during the 2008 economic meltdown, equity-backed securities become so complicated that it is hard to evaluate the basic equity equation of appraised value minus remaining loans, then it is possible to be investing in, quote, thin air, end quote. That is why the appraisal industry is so adamant about accurate and independent appraiser opinions of fair market value. In real estate, equity funds can also refer to the down payment made in relation to purchasing real property, with the remaining funds being called loan funds. Equity funds are investment funds which purchase equity-backed securities as their investments. Estate tax. Federal tax on the transfer of a deed of a dead person's assets. Benjamin Franklin is attributed with saying something about the certainty in life of two things, death and taxes. The estate tax is a tax on the estate of a person after he or she dies. More specifically, the estate tax is a federal tax on the transfer of assets from the estate of the dead person to someone else. Administratrix, court-appointed female to conclude an estate. An administratrix is a female court-appointed person to conclude the estate of a deceased person. An administrator is a male court-appointed person to conclude the estate of a deceased person. An executor is a male person appointed by a will to conclude the estate of a deceased person, and an executrix is a female appointee by a will to conclude the estate of the will maker. Related words: administratrix, executor, executrix. Estuary. Fresh river water meets and mixes with ocean salt water. The water cycle starts with evaporation over the ocean, which produces clouds. The clouds move over the land, cool, and rain empties the clouds. The rain moves from high ground to lower ground, accumulating in streams and rivers, and heads back to the ocean, where the process starts all over again. Within the water cycle, the estuary is the part where the river meets the ocean. At this point, fresh water of the river meets and mixes with salt water of the ocean. Estuaries represent a unique feature of ecology in many cases deserve special treatment and care. The estuary is the point in the water cycle where the fresh river water meets and mixes with ocean salt water. Related words: water cycle, environmentally sensitive lands. Federal Reserve banks. 12 banks in 12 districts in Federal Reserve System. The Federal Reserve Bank System, FRBS, is a system of 12 original national banks in 12 districts across the country, which loan funds from the government to all other banks at a rate lower than the banks will then lend to those who want loans. The FRBS allows the Open Market Committee to increase the money supply of the nation or decrease the money supply of the nation by adjusting the discount rate, the rate at which the government loans to banks. Increasing the discount rate slows money flowing into the economy because fewer will borrow at the higher overall rate. Lowering the discount rate increases money flowing into the economy because more will borrow at the lower rate, all things being equal. The Federal Reserve banks are the 12 regional banks within the 12 districts that make up the Federal Reserve Bank system. Commission. Percent fee for service. A commission is a percent fee for service. Brokerage commissions are often 6% of the sale price, which is split 50-50 when a seller's agent and a buyer's agent is involved. Agents often don't get these full amounts as the broker gets paid out of these amounts too. A commission is a percent fee for service. Jumbo loan. Loan for more money than the government will guarantee. A jumbo loan is a loan for a greater amount than the limits of the government-backed quasi-government organizations, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The limit, as of this writing, is $417,000. However, some programs go up to $625,000, and others still have gone up to limits of $729,000. Because the actual amounts vary depending on current conditions and which program is being discussed, it is best to simply learn that the definition of a jumbo loan is a loan above the limits of a government guarantee in the case of default. Jumbo loans often carry higher interest rates and additional underwriting requirements. Bankruptcy. Court-administered insolvency. Bankruptcy is a court-administered intervention into a person's or company's financial insolvency. In the event a person or company no longer is able to pay its obligations, the court will step in and free the person or company from its financial obligations. Of course, a person or company who goes through bankruptcy will not be trusted financially for some number of years until a good track record can be re-established. Bankruptcy is a court-administered financial insolvency.